Why does MJ sound so unique in Earth's song? You're gonna find out that it has everything to do with the way he uses his tongue, his jaw, his mouth, and even his breathing. So today we're not only gonna listen to Earth's song, but I'm gonna react to it. And I'm not just gonna go like other vocal coaches on the internet that go like, wow, so passionate. I'm actually gonna go in the technical stuff and show you everything he does with his mouth, tongue, and stuff like that. I'm even gonna draw it to you. I promise it's gonna be easy to understand and hopefully it's gonna help you a lot. So before we get into the technical stuff, there's 4 stages of dynamics and emotion in this song. And by dynamics, I mean volume, intensity, how full or airy is the voice, as well as the emotion that he's trying to convey. You're gonna notice that all those elements contribute to how iconic this performance is. So the first one we got is the verse.
What about sunrise? What about rain?
So here the volume is around the 4 out of 10. He has that cry in the voice. He kind of sounds light and sad, like a disappointed child. And there's 2 vocal modes he uses here that we're gonna go into later. On the chorus here, the volume is around a 5 or 6 out of 10. And emotionally, this part inspires freedom. He also uses here the chest voice and the head voice as well. And he's mostly using just one vocal mode here. We're gonna go into it later. This next part is the bridge. He kind of starts on the intensity on the verse, but then goes to something really big and angry. So for this part to sound so emotional and furious, he's changing the vocal mode and he's also using distortion. And then you have the outro, which he goes full on that distortion. But an interesting thing is that he doesn't use a 10 out of 10 loudness. He's somewhere around 7 or 8 here. Okay, so let's get into the technical stuff now. We're gonna first talk about 4 general ideas about MJ's style. So he mostly uses a light sound color. He does that by raising his tongue in the back of his mouth a lot. By the way, you can achieve that by touching the sides of the tongue to the last 2 upper teeth, like this. He uses a raised larynx, kind of like how a kid would talk, and he uses smile shapes a lot. But at the same time, what's interesting is that his voice isn't that shrill or cold, like this. And that's because he raises his soft palate, so that small thing in the back of your mouth. By the way, you can achieve that by inhaling on a K sound like this. And he's using the sobbing sound, kind of like this, which makes the voice sound warmer. So you have a kind of a balance between light and dark sound colors, but it errs a lot on the side of light sound color. Another interesting thing is that he's using vocal breaks a lot, which is when you go from your head voice to the standard voice. What about, like here.
What about killing Phil?
And his vibrato is quite quick and subtle, which makes it really interesting. Sunrise. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the really technical stuff. And on the verse, we're gonna study what he does on 2 words. The first one is what, and the second one is sunrise. So for the word what, he uses curbing, which is one of the 4 vocal modes. Curbing sounds kind of dark and sobbing like this. And it works well on vowels like or So to achieve that curbing sound, you first want to use a high tongue in the back of your mouth to get lots of twang. Keep your lips barely open and soft like this. And the jaw is gonna be soft and behind the upper teeth like this. Also, you want to try using the hold. The hold is like when you lift something heavy at the gym. If you use that before going into this vowel, it's gonna put you into curbing. Or you can imagine that you're crying, sobbing, like What about? So for this one, in matters of support energy, you want to go for about a 5 out of 10. So obviously you want to keep your ribs open, belly goes in when you're singing, and keep your back straight. The second one, sunrise. So here he uses the vowels A and E in the neutral mode, which works really well for A, E, and U. So for the A vowel, he uses soft lips. His mouth is gonna open a bit more, and the jaw is gonna go in the back like this, but it's gonna be really soft. You wanna try touching the base of your tongue with the tip of your tongue to get you more twang in the back. Ah. The support energy is gonna be about a 6 out of 10. The second vowel, the E, you keep most of the stuff the same, but the sides of your tongue are gonna go closer to the upper teeth. E. So if you're gonna link those two, you're gonna get sunrise. Okay, so for the chorus, he's still in neutral mode, which is kind of a low to medium volume mode, but he uses regular neutral, so chest voice neutral, and head voice neutral as well, so falsetto neutral, like ah. So here, because he does a really light ah sound, it doesn't sound like the two registers are that different. To achieve that, you want to use the ah position we talked about on the verse, but this time you're gonna open your mouth to the sides a bit more as well, and maybe get the sides of your tongue closer to the upper teeth as well. Ah. Then for the falsetto one, you're gonna need lots of twang, and you're gonna achieve that by getting the back of your tongue as close to the back of your mouth as well. After that, you might notice that he goes back to the chest voice around here. This is back in the chest voice or mixed voice, whichever way you wanna call it. On the U sound, you wanna make the U sound more like an for the chest mixy ones. And you can achieve that by opening your mouth a bit more, like this. And then for the head voice one, make sure you're using a high tongue in the back while using pursed lips in the front. So on the chorus, generally for the chesty mix sound, you're gonna need about a 7 out of 10 in matters of support energy, and a 3 out of 10 on the falsetto bits, because you don't need a lot of support when you're singing falsetto. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the best bit, which is this distortion part on the bridge. Okay, so in order for him to get this intensity on those really high notes, he needs to use edge, which is another vocal mode, which sounds a bit more like this. So two vowels that work really well in edge are E, like in is, and A, like in sat. And that's what he does here. He goes drifted far. So for the A position, you need a smile shape in the front, arched tongue in the back to make the space between the tongue and the roof of your mouth really small, and a bite shape, which means that your jaw is gonna be behind the upper teeth like this. On the A sound, you kind of keep most of the position the same, but you move your jaw down and back a lot more, so you're gonna have a lot of opening on this axis, and you're gonna have a smile shape as well. So from the edge vocal mode, it's a lot easier to add distortion healthily. This is really important, because if you make the space in the back of your mouth really small, distortion is gonna come naturally. Kind of naturally. When you add distortion, just imagine that you're lifting something heavy while singing, like and then you stop in the middle. So for this edgy distortion style, you need a lot of energy support, because the note is really high, so you're gonna need a 10 out of 10 support wise here. Okay, so I know it's a lot of information, but if you want those things to work really well for you, you might want to check out this video to avoid those 6 mistakes on high notes.